Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Read and Reread. I am Angelia, and today it is time for the April TBR. Yes, another month has been squandered away sitting around reading books, and it's time to refresh the pile and get ready to do it again. And April is so busy, so chock full of literary wonders that I have a front and back outline. I don't script these videos. I do have to have a cheat sheet or a list or an outline or something when there's this much to remember to cover. So, roughly organized in this video, we have the April specific events, ongoing year-long events. We have buddy reads, we have Storygraph challenges. I don't even think I'm doing it in this order that I just said, but we're going to go through it all. I'm going to present yet another highly optimistic, overreaching TBR. So the first event that I am participating in is People April, and this is an event dedicated to the reading of books about people, mainly nonfiction books, but not exclusively. It's about biographies, autobiographies, memoirs, letters, but sometimes drifting into other genres, we will see in just a moment. And People April is hosted by Roz from Scally Dandling About the Books, Brian from the Bookish Texan, Elisabeth from Bookins Books, and there is a Discord for this event as well to talk about anything you're reading for People April, and then also they're having a group read, which is Raising Hair by Chloe Dalton, which just made the short list for the Women's Prize in Nonfiction. I'm going to wait to read that until the copies are more accessible at the library, but it looks like a great event and a great group read. I joined it just so I could participate in the chatter about all the different books that people are reading this month. So take a look at that Discord. When I started thinking about People April, my mind went straight to I guess kind of a subgenre that I find that I really enjoy, which is graphic memoirs. And so I picked out one that has been on my list for a long time, an author that I have never read. I've heard about this book for years, and I'm going to read Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. The subtitle is A Family Tragicomedy, and Alison has written and illustrated this book. It says right here, now a Broadway musical. It's been on the stage, but I've just never read this book. The back of the book is pretty vague, but I know it's about her upbringing in a family that runs a funeral home, and particularly her relationship with her father. I like this particular blurb. If David Sedaris could draw, and if Bleak House had been a little funnier, you'd have Alison Bechdel's Fun Home. So I'm not sure exactly what the story is, but just the combination of family problems, the funeral home, and I think it's also a coming out story. I'm really looking forward to finally jumping into this. My other definite People April book is also going to be a crossover into another category, and that is the Laramie Project by Moises Kaufman and the members of the Tectonic Theater Project. This is also part of my Endless Drama event this month, and this is a play. The style of play is called documentary, or wait, there's another word for it too. Now, of course, it is immediately flown out of my mind, but I'll put it up on the screen. There's two different terminologies. But anyway, this is a play that is constructed from interviews with dozens and dozens of people in Laramie, Wyoming, that were collected by the members of this theater group beginning just a month after the death of Matthew Shepard. Here's a little more about it, and when you hear about this, you'll know why I have had great personal trepidation about reading this for quite a while, even though it's supposed to be a very powerful play. On October 7th, 1998, a young gay man was discovered bound to a fence in the hills outside Laramie, Wyoming, savagely beaten and left to die in an act of brutality and hate that shocked the nation. Okay, right there, the fact that that's what this play is about has held me back for years and years and years, because when that event actually happened, it just horrified me so deeply that I have avoided thinking about it very much ever since. But that is, of course, the entire reason to actually read the play. Matthew Shepard's death became a national symbol of intolerance, but for the people of Laramie, the event was deeply personal, and it is their voices we hear in this stunningly effective theater piece. So they conducted more than 200 interviews, and then pieces of this interview are acted out by the ensemble theater group. What is that other word? I'm going to dredge it up out of the tatters of my mind and add it on here. But verbatim, that's it, verbatim theater. So the reason why it fits into People April is because it's not a fictionalized version of events. It's not a fictional play at all. It is culled from these actual interviews, although they are presented on stage by different people, and the voices of Laramie, Wyoming in response to this horrific crime. So I must steel my heart for this experience. And this is the second play that we're going to be reading. I'll get to the other one in a minute in the events section. But this was a little bit hard to rustle up as well as far as borrowing it. I did borrow it from my daughter's university library, so I need to read it and get it back to her in a couple of weeks. The next event that I am participating in is Spring into Adventure. And this is an event dedicated to reading adventure, fiction, and nonfiction. The prompts are time periods. And so the book that I'm reading fits into fiction pre-20th century. And it's a double dipper. So the Count of Monte Cristo is going to sally forth from its role as a mammoth and become my adventure book for April. I am probably about a third of the way through at this point, and I am enjoying the book. I'm just going to continue rolling along with the Count of Monte Cristo, but now it's an adventure book. And the hosts for that event are Debs from Rainer Reads, Shawn D. Standfast, Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads, Gavin of Genre Books, and Randy Ray, the literate Texan. I think they are also doing a group read of Around the World in 80 Days, if that tickles your fancy. The third event that I want to participate in, it's not really an event. It's not a hosted specific event, but April is Poetry Month, and I always include some poetry that I've selected specifically in the month of April. So this year, I'm going to begin reading 44 Poems on Being with Each Other by Padraig Tuama. This is the follow-up book to the one I enjoyed so much last year that I had to buy my own copy. That was Poetry Unbound, 50 Poems to Open Your World. So again, the format is that the poet Tuama, who doesn't include his own work in this volume, but he presents different poems. I think some are contemporary, some are older, and each one he has a very short exploration, essay, commentary about that particular poem and poet. And I really just like the voice of his explorations. I like the poems that he selects. Our tastes seem to be pretty compatible. I really love that previous volume, and so I've been saving this to read in April. It may continue on into the next month because I tend to read just one or two a day and just let it sit with me and reread it, and then I read it out loud, and I read the essay, and then I read the poem again, and then I read the essay again. So it takes me a while to get through it, but I'm really very much looking forward to this. And then I have two books that have been lingering around in my cart, and I know at least one of them has been in previous TBRs and somehow not actually been read yet. And these are two books that are fiction books. They are novels, but they're written by poets. And I find that to be really interesting when you read something that a poet has written in another genre, whether it's a novel or a nonfiction book. One of my favorite nonfiction books is How the Word Is Passed by Clint Smith. I always want to say Clint Black, and that is a country singer that I'm not even interested in. But Clint Smith, the poet, his nonfiction book. I think that the narrative style and the descriptive style of his nonfiction prose really springs from his background as a poet. I think that's one of the reasons why I love that book. So here are the two books that are written by poets, but these are novels. And the first one is Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. This one is on a million top 10 lists from 2024. I've had it for, I don't know, I think I got it around Christmas, and I haven't gotten to it yet. It's one of the ones that's rumored as a front runner for the Pulitzer Prize. We'll see what happens. But this is, and I've read some of his poetry, and I liked it. Here's a little bit about what it's about. Cyrus Shams, the novel's hero, is a young man grappling with an inheritance of violence and loss. A mother whose plane was shot down over the skies of the Persian Gulf in a senseless accident, and a father whose life in America was circumscribed by killing chickens on a factory farm in the Midwest. Cyrus is a drunk, an addict, and a poet whose obsession with martyrs leads him into the mysteries of his past, toward an uncle who rode through Iranian battlefields dressed as the angel of death to inspire and comfort the dying, and toward his mother, through a painting discovered in a Brooklyn art gallery that suggests that she might not have been who or what she seemed. Cyrus is guided on his journey by the voices of artists, poets, and kings, and delivered in the novel's unforgettable final pages to a world that teems with unforeseen wonders. So I have had the hardest time grasping. I read that a few times, and I still thought, I'm not really sure what to expect or what's going to happen in this book, but I am really, really intrigued.
Well, hello there. It's editing Angelia, and I completely left out something that goes into ongoing group events and Poetry Month, and that is the Bard Room, the ongoing study of Shakespeare hosted by Melinda from A Web of Stories. And for April, we're going to be reading Venus and Adonis. So we're going into one of Shakespeare's longer poems, and I have that loaded up and ready to go on my iPad. And it was on my cheat sheet. I completely buffled that one. So that's in there too. Looking forward to it.
And then the other one, I know I've brought this one up a whole bunch of times, but here it still is, The Night Alphabet by Joelle Taylor. And I have not read any of Taylor's poetry, but I know that she is predominantly a poet, and then she has written this novel. And this is a dystopian novel about a woman who has all these tattoos, and she goes in to get them connected to make a map set in the future. And it says, composed of interconnecting stories set across geographies and time spans, we visit the dystopian cities of the Quiet Men, the coal mines of 19th century Lancashire, join a gang of vigilante sex workers, enter the world of an incel murderer, haunt the old Maryville gay bar, and uncover plans to genetically modify female children. Each story brings us closer to Jones's truth and how her life is intricately interwoven with that of the women tattooing her body. So I can't tell you why it's taking me so long to get to this book, but I really hope it happens this month. If you're still here, next up is Buddy Reads. Then we're going to go into ongoing year-long reading projects, and then a few personal odds and ends that I am hoping to get to. So I have two Buddy Reads with my friend Michael, and the first one is The Narrow Road to the Deep North. I can never get this title right. I always want to call it the South or the North. The Long Narrow Road. I've just come up with like 20 variations of this title, but it's The Narrow Road to the Deep North by Richard Flanagan. It won the Booker Prize in what year? I don't know. 2013 or 2014. It was published in 2013. And Richard Flanagan I believe he's Australian. And this was a book that I picked up at a library book sale. And when I picked it up, I thought that it would be of interest to Stephen. And then when I talked about it in a haul video, a lot of people jumped in and said, oh, it's so excellent. And then Michael uncovered the fact that a TV adaptation is coming out later in April and proposed that we kick off April by reading this. And so that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to venture into this is the second book this month where I'm going to venture into some uncomfortable territory, because I usually don't gravitate to books about war and prison and things like that. And here's what the book's about. August 1943, in the despair of a Japanese POW camp on the Thai-Burma Death Railway, Australian surgeon Dorigo Evans is haunted by his affair with his uncle's young wife 2 years earlier. His life is a daily struggle to save the men under his command from starvation, from cholera, from pitiless beatings, until he receives a letter that will change him forever. And then we move from the POW camp to contemporary Australia. So I think it's going to be a multiple time period book. I love that. I don't know if I love POW camps, but I am going to just go on the faith of the excellent reports about this book, buoyed up by the buddy reading experience, and I'm going to brave the elements of the narrow road to the deep north. And then also on the as far possible on the opposite end of reading spectrums as you can get, we're also reading together The Tale of Despero by Kate DiCamillo. This is a reread, and this is part of our informal, ongoing project to read the works of Kate DiCamillo in publication order, an author that we both love, that we both discovered during our previous incarnations as school librarians. And this is one of my all-time favorites. I loved this book to share with students. I loved it to share with Emma when she was young. This is our family copy that's still on the shelf. So this is going to be a lovely little interlude when it comes up in the month. The subtitle of this is Being the Story of a Mouse, a Princess, Some Soup, and a Spool of Thread. In the starred review from Booklist, they describe it as forgiveness, light, love, and soup. These essential ingredients combine into a tale that is as soul-stirring as it is delicious. It's a middle grade novel, but it's one of those books that is beautiful no matter what your age. It has humor, it has warmth, it has the whole human experience, or maybe the whole mouse experience. Anyway, I love it. So that brings us to ongoing reading projects. Endless Drama, the event that I am hosting where we read 2 plays from the 20th or 21st century each month, rolls on this month with these 2 plays. First, we have The Piano Lesson by August Wilson. August Wilson is a very significant American playwright that I completely missed in my earlier education. This one won the 1990 Pulitzer Prize for Drama. I believe he won twice. He also won for Fences, which I have on my shelf that I can read at another time. I'm just starting to dive into some biographical material about August Wilson, who is from Pennsylvania, or he was. He died in the early 2000s. This particular one begins with a family that has a beautiful upright piano. It's the Charles family prized hard-won possession. It's been gathering dust in the parlor of Bernice Charles' Pittsburgh home. When boy Willie, Bernice's exuberant brother, burst into her life with his dream of buying the same Mississippi land that his family had worked as slaves, he plans to sell their antique piano for the hard cash that he needs to stake his future. But Bernice refuses to sell, clinging to the piano as a reminder of the history that is their family legacy. This dilemma is the real piano lesson, reminding us that Blacks are often deprived both of the symbols of their past and of opportunity in the present. It also won the New York Drama Critics Circle Award for Best New Play in 1990. The family scenario, I was reminded of A Raisin in the Sun that we read earlier this year, and how that family had a similar dilemma where they were coming into a sum of money and had different opinions about the best way to use that money. Is it better to invest in a home? Is it better to invest in a business stream? Is it better to invest in education? Different family perspectives on opportunities and dreams. So I'm very interested to get into this and then explore other works by August Wilson. And of course, the aforementioned Laramie project is the other selection, double dipping for People April and Endless Drama. Also continuing with the Reading the Globe project, which is international fiction and hosted by Roz from Scally Dandling About the Books and Katja from Page Turners with Katja. And this month's selection is A Sunny Place for Shady People by Mariana Enriquez. Look at this creepy cover. This just came in for me yesterday at the library, right in the nick of time. And these are short stories. The translator is Megan McDowell. These are short stories by an Argentine writer. I have been spending a lot of time in Argentina this year, and I'm not mad about it. But I think that this is kind of horror. Welcome to Argentina and the fascinating, frightening, fantastical imagination of Mariana Enriquez. In 12 spellbinding news stories, Enriquez writes about ordinary people, especially women, whose lives turn inside out when they encounter terror, the surreal, or the supernatural. A neighborhood nuisance by ghosts, a family whose faces melt away, a faded hotel haunted by a girl who dissolved in the water tank on the roof. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to stop there. But I think it's horror, body horror, creepy stuff. It's short stories. This would make the second short story book I've read this year that... The last one, Ghost Roots, was kind of riding the line between horror and magical realism, and this one just sounds like it's straight up literary horror. And so it sounds weird, creepy, fun. It will be a lot of fun to talk about in a group. And this is the first book I've ever read by this author. There's a lot of first-time authors in here for me this month, which is really exciting. In the Books and Bocadillos book club hosted by Mariandrea, who has a channel by that same name, this month's selection, The Invisible Life of Eurydice Gusmao. And I think it's written in English. I don't think it's a translated novel. At least I don't see that on the cover. Wait a minute. Oh, there is a translator. I apologize. It's written in Portuguese. It is translated by Eric M.B. Becker. It takes place in Brazil in the 1940s. A wickedly funny tale of two rebellious sisters in 1940s Rio de Janeiro. Eurydice is bright and ambitious, but this is Brazil in the 1940s, and society expects her to be a loving wife and mother. While Antenor is busy congratulating himself on his excellent catch, Eurydice spends her humdrum days ironing his shirts and removing the lumps of onion from his food, dreaming of the success she could have made of herself as a writer, dressmaker, or culinary whiz in another life. Her free-spirited sister Guida, on the other hand, is the kind of person who was born knowing everything. When she returns from her failed elopement with stories of heartbreak and loss, the lives of Eurydice and her husband are thrown into confusion with disastrous consequences. So, 1940s Brazil, a woman trapped in a humdrum marriage. This sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like it could be also kind of a bittersweet. There's a story between the sisters. I'm really enjoying this book club, which is dedicated this year to books written by Latinx women authors. This one is Brazilian, and I am looking forward to this. I had to do some sleuthing to find a copy of this, but I did manage to find it in one of my libraries, so I'm going to borrow that and get that going pronto. Page 2. So, Storygraph challenges. The Ben Reads Good challenge this month is to read a book by someone on the women's prize list. It could be a current contender, it could be one from the past, and Melinda's challenge at her Web of Stories Storygraph challenge has that same category. So I have a book for both of those, and then a couple more for other categories of Melinda's, because hers is not specific to months. It's more read them at any point in the year, and Ben's is specifically the April one is Women's Prize. My Women's Prize book selection is The Dream Hotel by Leila Laramie. I got a copy from Blackwell's because I liked the UK cover so much better. It has a little texture. There's like a bars on a window looking out at the sky. And also Leila Laramie is going to be appearing at the San Antonio Book Festival on April 12th, which I'm going to be attending. I'm going to talk about that in another video because this one's so long, but there are several really exciting authors at this book festival that I went to last year. It was great, and we're going back. The Dream Hotel is currently on the Women's Prize long list. We'll see if it gets to the short list. It is a dystopian novel, and it is about a woman who is on her way home from a conference at the airport, and she gets detained. Using data from her dreams, there's an algorithm that determines she's at imminent risk for harming her husband. For his safety, she must be transferred to a retention center and kept under observation for 21 days. But as Sarah arrives to be monitored, she discovers that with every deviation from the facility's strict and ever-changing rules, their stays can be extended. And then a new resident arrives and shakes things up. So it is about it's a gripping speculative mystery about the seductive dangers of technologies that are supposed to make our lives easier. So I'm getting a little bit of Minority Report there. I've heard really good things about it. Love a dystopian novel. Love this cover. And then also from Melinda's categories, some of the other books fit in. There's a category to read a book by a Muslim author about the Muslim experience, and Martyr would fit that. LGBTQ plus authors, that is several authors in this pile. Fun Home, the Laramie Project, and something else that I lost track of. And remember that video where you read the 5 books, the first paragraph, and you pick one to put in your TBR, and I said I was going to put it in my April TBR. That's Toward Eternity by Anton Hur, who is best known as a translator of Korean fiction, and he is gay, so this also counts as LGBTQ authors. And it's a science fiction novel about technology and the future and literature. I'll get more into it. I hope I get to it. I've been right on the. I've picked this up so many times and thought, oh, it's short, I'll read it right now. And then I go, oh no, wait, but I got to start this other book, and then I don't get to it. So I'm very keen to get to it. And then the runner-up book, that was the one that I picked for me, and then the one that was mentioned most in the comments was The Heart and Winter by Kevin Barry. I'm not going to get to all this stuff. What am I even saying? So, but there it is. All the possibilities, all the plans, the optimism, the audacity of it all. Let me know what you plan to read. Have you read any of these? What events do you want to participate in for April? I hope this video is not an hour long. I'll cut as much as I can and try to reduce the pain. I hope you're having a great week, and I will see you on Friday.